أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق وعز المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى جميع أنبياء الله والمرسلين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. صلى الله عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. أشهد أن الله يا مولاي قد طيب بك التراب وعظم بك المصاب وأجزل بك الثواب وأوضح بك الكتاب، وجعلك وأمك وأخاك وجدك وأباك والمعصومين من بنيك عبرة لأولي الألباب يا ابن الميامين الأطياب التالين الكتاب. وجهت سلامي إليكم ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني للسلام عليكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight we will continue with you about some important stories that took place in Karbala in the first 10 days of Muharram. The character we need to speak about today is the son of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, al-Qasim. Before we go into the event, what is amazing about the events that took place in Karbala, that every motion and every action and every event, every phenomenon that took place, you could see it is related and addressed somehow, some way in the Book of Allah in the Quran. So when we see the generosity and what we call in Arabic al-ithar, Al-ithar is when you put the others before you put yourself, and then you put a sincere sacrifice in money and power and body and life for a higher objective that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala endorsed and approved. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Book of the Quran wants to build out of us a Quranic character. And since we are a human and we err and we make mistakes, we try our best in order to reform ourselves and to purify ourselves and to clean ourselves from our wrong acts. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us the methods in several ways. And the character of as-salihin, the good men and women in the past, in the present, and always in the future, they are associated with a certain traits. And they are associated with certain qualities. Like what we said a couple of days ago, one of the most important qualities in the life of a mu'min is to be patient, to have sabr, to pass the test without losing our composure and without losing our balance. So when we get angry, regardless of the reason, our anger should not control us, where we could say things we regret later. And when we are happy and joyful, our joy and our happiness should not let us cross the red lines that Allah set. So al-mu'min, the believer, according to Al-Quran, he does not live both extremes. He lives with a sense of moderation, except for the remembrance of Allah and mentioning the name of Allah and doing the dhikr. Then there is no limits. The sky is the limit, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do it repeatedly and abundantly. So al-mu'min also is dependable and trustworthy and patient. The problems that we are facing today, that people take the liberty in accusing, cussing, it's called in Arabic ittiham, where we accuse certain people of certain things they did not do. Or we accuse certain people in certain states and conditions that they don't have. Or even if they do and nobody knows about it, they tend to spread it in order to scandalize al-mu'min, and in order to celebrate the fact that he made a mistake. They want to propagate the mistake of al-mu'min, especially when he commits a sinful act. Regrettably, when al-mu'min commits a sinful act, he regrets. And he reformed himself and he performed al-istighfar. That is the case of al-mu'min. إِذَا أَسَاءُوا اسْتَغْفَرُوا. If they mishandle situation, if they misuse situation, they resort immediately to the state of istighfar, seeking forgiveness. وَإِذَا أَحْسَنُوا اسْتَبْشَرُوا. And if they do a good job and they excel in what they do, then they feel at peace and they are very thankful to Allah and appreciate it. And they appreciate the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped them and made them prosperous and excelling in what they do. Among the things that Allah despised and among the things that Allah warned us against is false accusation of others and to spread rumors about others, especially the rumors that are baseless and foundless. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the community, when He wants to build a community, He wants to build a Quranic community where we need to find always a positive thoughts and eliminate the negative images and thoughts about others, especially the believers. When you observe a certain behavior of a mu'min and you immediately jump to conclusions and you look at it in a very negative way, and this is anti-Quranic teachings, and it's anti-Quranic verses that talks about our behavior, what a mu'min should be, and it's anti the recommendation and the direction and the commands of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If a mu'min makes a mistake and he doesn't feel good about it, it's not good to spread it. It's not good to make it known to public. Those who love for al-fahisha to spread about the believers, Allah threatened them in Al-Quran. And He threatened them with heavy consequences and with punishment in this life and the hereafter. What it is worse than that is when we accuse someone of doing something he didn't do. A virtuous woman, we accuse her of doing terrible things that she didn't do. That's a major sin in Islam. And that's a major disobedience in Islam. When we accuse a mu'min of certain despicable acts that he did not do, it's also a major sin in Islam. When we also interpret the events according to our desire, not according to reality. And Imam Ali alayhi salam said, احمل أخاك على 70 محمل حسن. Yani, give your brother and your sister the benefit of the doubt up to 70 levels, up to 70 times, up to 70 layers of possibilities. But in reality, most of the people, they don't do so. In reality, they always have bad thoughts and they always have bad suspicion. And even when a good act is done by a mu'min, they try to alter it and they try to downplay it. And in that process, truth shall be disappearing. and the values shall be dwindling, and the qualities and ethical traits, it's going to be degenerating, and it's going to be erased, and it's going to be disappearing. It disappears. And then we lose security, and we lose tranquility, and we lose peace, and we lose common sense, and we lose sense of support among the brothers and the sisters in the community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us, do not accuse others baselessly and without any proof. And even if you notice and realize somebody made a mistake among the mu'mineen, you don't spread that mistake. You don't talk about it openly, unless he's not a mu'min, unless he's a fasiq fajr who commits it openly, intentionally. But when a mu'min makes a mistake towards the other brother, or towards his family, or towards his neighbor, and he comes to apologize and he was bringing his own excuses, we should accept it. We should always try to build the trust and the connection with the mu'mineen. What you notice right now on the social media, for example, people spread false news. They spread false news about good people, about truly good believers. Yani al-mu'min right now, he's feeling that he's not only being watched by the angels in order to record his acts, but he's also is being watched and observed by the people who are envying him, and they are waiting for him to make a mistake. And if he makes a mistake, they propagate that mistakes, and they celebrate the fact that he fell and made a mistake. They express joy that he made a sinful act, and that is haram in Islam. That's a most sinful act, and this is a big sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to do. We should not view things based on our own passion or desire that it's not related to reality. And we should trust others when they give us an explanation why they have done certain things we don't like. Maybe they have their own excuse. Maybe they have something that we don't know. Maybe they have done something we did not see. Maybe there are certain reasons we are not aware of. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Holy Book of Al-Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Do not take a stand on any issue that you have no knowledge of. Do not spread any rumors that you are not sure it is the truth. It is suffice to a lot of people, once they read a terrible news, they spread it. They spread it to a group, and the group spread it to another 10 group, and the 10 groups spread it to another 100 group, and then all of a sudden this rumor travels exponentially to a lot of people, and we end up finding that it's not the right thing, and it's not the truth, and it really created a wound and hurt others, especially the believers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly warned us about this in the Holy Book of Al-Quran. In Hadith al-Ifk, when people start spreading a myth, an accusation that's unfounded. Or when a mu'min promises you to do something. For example, you make a deal with a mu'min and he promised you certain promise, and then he did not want to break it intentionally, but it was beyond his capability, beyond his capacity. He did not foresee the events that came to him. When he comes to you and he's presenting his case and pleading his case with you, you should be supporting, you should be understanding, you should be listening, you should not jump to accusation, you should not really first have and think of bad thoughts towards him. Anyone who accuses a mu'min falsely, and anyone who spread bad rumors about mu'min, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first will punish him in so many ways, but first He will punish him that He will make him face the same situation as mu'min faced. And He will make him fail. And He will also expose him like he exposed his brother and his sisters. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى to grant us immunity and piety against these acts. Al-Mu'min is not greedy. Al-Mu'min is not a false accuser. Al-Mu'min does not jump to wrong conclusion. Al-Mu'min show patience. Al-Mu'min show forgiveness. Al-Mu'min shows clemency. Al-Mu'min support and defend higher values, even if he wants to lose, even if he wants to suffer, even if he wants to face pain. And what we learn? We learn from Al-Quran that he wants to build for us a Quranic character so we can prosper and we can succeed Yawm al-Qiyamah. The worst thing in the world is when you accuse people of things they didn't do. If you accuse others in a certain act that they are not associated with. And even if they have done certain things and you accuse them by doing the wrong things, maybe they have their own reasons. Of course, there's no excuse for al-haram unless someone is being pushed to the point where he would lose his life if he doesn't do a certain things. And that's not the case, and it's not what we're addressing here, it's not what we are talking about. So Al-Mu'min gives, Al-Mu'min provides, Al-Mu'min is generous, Al-Mu'min sacrifices his life for higher values when it comes to defend his dignity, and when it comes to defend his value, and when it comes to defend the truth about Islam and about others, and to also defend the oppressed from the oppressors. And those who are defending the weak in the world today, and those who are standing up for those who are being mistreated, and those who volunteer their own time in order to prove certain people that were really not guilty, and they went to jail and they were imprisoned falsely and unjustly for years. You hear about this story every once in a while. You see certain lawyers that they put their time and they dedicate their time in order to prove that there are certain people who are innocent and they were imprisoned falsely and they've been accused falsely in committing an act, then actually they did not commit. And they were accused and they were put in jail falsely and unjustly and for other ulterior motives and other reasons without taking into consideration justice and fairness. One of the characters that we need to address tonight in Karbala is Al-Qasim. Al-Qasim is the son of Al-Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam. 18 of Bani Hashim were with Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. And some story says 72, some story 74, some story 80 something. These are the group that they were with Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. When this situation became gravely dangerous and Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam was surrounded by his enemy in an army of 30,000 in the desert, and they put him in a very tough situation and they asked him, either you give endorsement to Yazid or we shall kill you and your family. He summoned his companion and he summoned the group and his supporters and his relatives, Bani Hashim and the men who were with him. And ironically, this group of 72 people and the women and the children who were with him, ironically, is like a small prototype of what all the good humanity is all about. There were different there were people from different religion, there were people from different colors, there were people from different nationalities. There was the white, there was the black, there was the fair, there was the Arab, there was the non-Arab, there was the free, there was the servant, there was the married, there was the single. And it's a small example of all what the humanity is all about. SubhanAllah, and they all gathered here. And a traveler who was a Christian was traveling on the road. He was not part of the caravan, was not part of the convoy, and then he met Al-Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he loved him and he stayed with him. Some narrated story in history is telling us there was some also a Chinese Asian, and other story in history is telling us there were some also followers of Jewish faith, and all of these people from different backgrounds, they met this wonderful character Al-Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and they were impressed by his character, and they did not leave him, and they refused to leave him when they found out that he's facing clear danger in losing his life and losing the life of his family. So he summoned all this group at night, the night of Ashura, yani the night of Ashura. And he summoned them and he told them, look, those people, they are after me, they want me. They don't want you. They have an issue with me. They want me to endorse the rule of Yazid. I'm not going to do that. And to be honest with you, the outcome is it's not a good outcome, because they are going to use power and they're going to use force, and you don't have to face that, and you don't have to put your life in danger. Since the enemy wants me, I release you from your responsibility towards me, and I give you the permission to leave. Take advantage of this darkness tonight and then leave, go different direction. They are not going to stop you. They are not going to do anything to you because they want me. What was the response from these people? Did anybody leave? Any among these people left? Any among of those people was shaken, was weak, was hesitant? No. They all gave the same answer and the same wonderful, heroic attitude. He said, no, we're not going to leave you. Are you asking us to leave? Life will never be good without you. We're going to stay with you. We're going to be surrounding you. We're going to be defending you, and we are going to protect you, even if it is going to cost us our lives, and we know it is going to cost us our lives. One of them said to him, Allah, by Allah, if I am in the process of me defending you, if I get killed and cut into pieces, and I was burned to death, and my body disappears, disintegrate, and they resurrect me again, and I would do the same thing once and thrice and many times, up to 70 times, I will never leave you. His own cousins said the same thing. His own companions said the same thing. There was the old, there was the strong, there was the young, there was representation from all groups in actual life. They all stuck with him, and they all defended him, and they knew who he was, and they knew what he represented, and they knew the grave situation that he was facing it, so they decided to protect him. They decided to do a noble job that will immortalize their legacy forever until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this is why he said to them his famous statement, there is no companion like my companion. لَيْسَ هُنَاكَ أَصْحَابْ كَأَصْحَابِي. There's no companions in the history of mankind similar to the companions of Al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And history is telling us also his nephew Al-Qasim, the son of Al-Imam Hassan, was only young adolescence. He was like 13 years old or 14 years old. When he have seen this tragedy, when we have seen the level of oppression, when he have seen this aggression, when he have seen this brutality and inhumane treatment towards Imam Hussein and his family, he as a young man couldn't take it anymore, and he came to him and he said, my uncle, you need to give me the permission to go fight and defend you. I cannot take this anymore. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam asked him not to, and he did not give him the permission, and he insisted in giving him the permission. And he said, look, this is my time, this is my opportunity. I am not going to turn my back. I am going to be killed anyway. because they are not gonna spare anyone. They are attacking everyone. They are merciless killers and criminals. But it is my choice and my decision to defend you. Give me the permission. You're my commander. He pled this case with him until Imam Hussein alayhi salam had no choice. He came to the battle almost shoeless. And they have seen, the enemies, they have seen a young man who was only a teenage, early teenage, 14 or 13. Handsome, strong, brave, came and spoke to them and proudly spoke about his bravery and spoke about what he represents and spoke about his uncle and spoke about his imam and spoke to them and gave al-hujjah on them in this dunya and yawm al-qiyamah, that I will reject what you do, I condemn what you do, and I will not accept this treatment, and I will not accept this degeneration of the human values and all these wonderful values that Allah set. I'm standing here before my imam and my commander and my leader in order to defend him with my life. And he did fight bravely. He did fought bravely. A young man, 13 years old, fought bravely defending his uncle until he was mercilessly killed by these criminals. That is the ultimate act of sacrifice. That's the ultimate act of bravery. That's the ultimate act of what we call ithar. And this is why we love Al-Qasim. And this is why his name wrote an excellent legacy for him until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this is why he went as a shaheed at this early stage in his life. He could have left, he could have run away, he could have withdrawn, and he could have left, he could have retreated, and there is no obligation on him to do what he have done. Yet, because of his iman, because of his akhlaq, because of his compassion, because of his support, because of his deen, because of his taqwa, and because of what he thinks of his uncle Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, that he's an imam, a holy imam, grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, defended him. And then achieved that stage of shahada. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallallahu alayka Aba Abdullah. Salamu ala al-Hussein. وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. I ask you to pray for me, inshallah. Keep me in your dua. Inshallah, we will keep these nights, inshallah, functional. And I've been also told by a group brothers and sisters, they want me to keep doing this because it is beneficial for them. I thank you so much for your support. I thank you so much for your understanding. I'm not worthy of this member, but I'll keep doing what I'm doing for Allah's sake. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you safe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all your wishes in the dunya wal akhirah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.